Hi everyone and welcome to another segment of AEC-tech Talks. These talks are organized by AEC Plus Tech, a platform and community established to help you stay updated and engaged with the latest tools and technologies in the building industry. Today we are joined by three wonderful panelists, all very great technology leaders in our industry. From prominent design and construction companies who are here to share with us their experience and their insights on the future of technology in the AEC world. This event will be recorded and saved on AC Plus Tech YouTube channel. If you have any question for our panelists during the event, please feel free to post them in the LinkedIn or YouTube chat box, and we will do our best to answer them at the end in the Q&A portion. I'll briefly introduce each of our three wonderful panelists before their presentation, and then we'll let them talk more about themselves and their work. First, I'll introduce Oliver Glockner with Hilti. Oliver is the Innovation Director for Software and Services at Hilti, a global leader of construction tools and fastening technologies. In his more than 20 years at Hilti, Oliver had several leadership roles, mostly in building up a digital business, including strategy projects, building up a global product management team, and continuously driving innovation. He's driven by challenging the status quo, finding value-adding applications of new technologies, and working with innovative thinkers in the industry. A recent highlight in the career was the acquisition of Fieldwire, for which he was a key player to build up the strategic foundation, followed by an intense but exciting M&A project. Building up on this experience, he's expanding his broad network into the construction tech community and looking for new opportunities for Hilti to engage and collaborate. Thank you so much, Oliver, for joining us, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Happy to be here. And I'd like to share a bit what we are doing in applying construction technology in projects successfully. Maybe a quick introduction on Hilti. Most of you might know that, but we are a European company founded in the 40s in the tiny Liechtenstein in the Alps. And we are a market leader in fastening and demolition technology. We had our size is quite big in the meantime. So we had 6.3 billion Swiss francs sales last year. That's about close to $6 billion US. And we have 32,000 employees around the globe. And one of our specialties is that we follow a direct customer relationship approach, and we have roughly 280,000 customer contacts per day, so which is a quite a high number. So what are we doing? So this is a bit the evolution of innovation and technology at Hilti over the last decades. So the whole thing started with providing superior tools and equipment for the construction industry. We expanded that over the time to consider more applications. So drilling a hole is not because the hole looks so nice, but you want to fasten something. And we also made some estimations on how we can create additional productivity. And we found out that measuring where to drill a hole, for instance, takes more time than drilling the hole. So we expanded also to measuring systems. And then in the last couple of years, we expanded also into services and software. So provided some hardware, so to say, hardware as a service offering, and recently went into also software as a service offering. So the whole innovation topic expanded a lot, yeah. So and changed a lot. We are doing now all of that, and you might be wondering why I'm talking here about applying technology in projects. I will show you how we also provide now services and being a project partner for the industry. For that, we look into a project. This is an innovation center that we built So quite a unique and sophisticated project. And as you might know, we are providing also support structures for the MEP services. And we have built up a whole end-to-end portfolio to support our customers here and create productivity. So this project, zooming in, has quite a complex MEP model, a 3D model, where you see everything, but one thing is missing. So the MEP services are still flying in the air. So, and we have now come up and look into how can we change that, and how can we start implementing a proper planning and modeling and engineering to drive productivity downstream. And this is the model of just the hangars and support for the MEP services. So you see, it's quite a decent complexity here. And I will show you now how we apply different technologies like BIM modeling, prefabrication, modularization, tagging, tracking, material tagging, tracking, and finally robotics to change the habits and create a lot of value. Yeah? Let's start with the first one. So you see here BIM model, and you see also the MEP supports in it. And the first use case is about applying value engineering and reduce material consumption and standardize also the material. So you see here two videos. One is on the left-hand side, you see traditional hangars and supports, and on the right-hand side, you see how we changed the way of providing supports. And you see here on the left-hand side that every service is supported separately, and on the right-hand side we look for multi-trade supports. And you can see here already that you need less material, it looks cleaner, less space consumption, less fastening points, so less drilling, and a lot of more values. You can see that here. Also estimating a bit, quantifying, we can reduce the number of anchor points by 60%. We can reduce the number of items needed by 50%. The cutting of the channels can be reduced by 40%, and the variations also, which drive also complexity, can be even reduced by 90%. And everything looks much cleaner and less complicated. And for example, in the project that we have seen before, we had overall 19,000 supports, so quite a big number, and we could reduce that to 89 design solutions. So it was less than 90 different supports that made up the 19,000 supports here. So you can imagine how that reduces complexity. But that's only possible if you do a proper engineering and BIM modeling upfront. So what happens now? So we have a nice model, we have all the information available. How do we bring this now to the construction site? The next step is that we can prefabricate the supports. So you see here on the left-hand side a model, and the same situation on the job site. So it needs to be built as it was modeled. And the next step is that we do the necessary stuff. So we prefabricate all the supports. We do it to the right level as it is needed. It can be just a cutting or a kitting, and in the highest let's say detail level, we do the full pre-assembly already in our fab shops and bring it to the job site. From that on, we need to create transparency and traceability in the supply chain. So every support is being tagged with a QR code and a label, and this QR code can be scanned on the job site. And with just the scan of the job site, you get access to the plan, and you can find the right location where the support needs to be installed. And at the same time, you have a progress tracking. So you can just change the status of the support from, let's say, delivered to the job site to installed. So you always know exactly what the status of the different supports are. Finally, we also bring the information out of the BIM model to the job site with automation, with robotics. And here you might have seen our drilling robot, the J-bot, and the information is being, if we have all the anchoring points, we can bring all this information to the J-bot, and the J-bot can drill automatically every hole. We can drill 2,500 points in 3 days, so more than 800 drilling points in 1 day, which is a 600% productivity compared to a manual drilling. So quite a big productivity increase. So all these 4 steps together make up a nice productivity gain only for hangars and supports. You might wonder now he's telling a lot about creating productivity. Can we also quantify this? And yes, we have done intense studies of how much we can save. And you see here, we have done, for instance, a study of a 38 meter, sorry for the metric dimensions here, and we have compared the traditional solution with the multi-trade solution that we have just seen. And the result is that we can, there is different levels of how to do multi-trade supports. So you see here from the left-hand side, which is the traditional one, to the middle, that's already a big step. And if you go to the right-hand side for a fully optimized, you see that the material cost goes down by 40%, and even the installation time, so really the labor work goes down by 74%, which is quite a big number here. Now you can say, okay, this is an artificial comparison because you never build the both things. But we have done also a project where we built the same thing. So the project A was still done with the old method, project B with the new method. And here also we have done the comparison, and we saw that there is a bit that you need to invest into upfront design, but there is a clear ROI, and you can save the cost here in this, let's say in this area that we used here for the comparison by 34%. So overall, this demonstrate that we can use technology, different steps in technology, put them together. Technology is there, and there is a huge saving possible. Thank you very much. That was it from my side.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks a lot, Oliver. So there's actually a question for you, but let's ask the questions at the end. So we'll have the Q&A section. So I'll make sure to save these questions, and we'll ask this from you at the end. Thanks a lot. So next we will have Cara from Skanska USA. Welcome, Cara. So happy to have you here. So I'm going to briefly introduce you and then let you talk more about yourself. So Cara is a field engineer at Skanska USA Civil, working primarily in the Northeast region. During her time at Skanska, she has worked on numerous noteworthy projects such as LaGuardia Airport redevelopment and Hunts Point Interstate Access Improvement Contract 1. Cara holds both a bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering from Columbia University. She's a FAA-certified commercial drone pilot and leads the Skanska Civil's drone program for the Northeast region. She's currently leveraging this technology at the $1.6 billion Portal North Bridge project in New Jersey, as well as helping to train and support other Skanska employees as they embark on their journey to receiving a drone pilot license. The drone and technology work Cara is doing will help keep Skanska at the forefront of innovation. So happy to have you, and I'll let you talk more about your work. Cara.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. So excited to be on this call today and talk a little bit about what we're doing at Skanska, specifically with drone technology. But one message I really want to share is what we're doing with knowledge sharing in general. So a little bit about myself. Like Nicknaz mentioned, I'm a field engineer at Skanska, and I also manage the drone operations for the Civil Northeast region. And two things I want to answer for you guys: why construction, and then why drones. So I came into construction. I started at Skanska in 2018, actually as an intern. And I first had tried to test out working in design the summer before. And, going into civil engineering, there was kind of two routes that I was thinking of taking. And I ended up choosing construction after I tried design because it was so much fun. It was so collaborative. I love working in teams. I love knowledge sharing. And I love just testing out new ideas, working with a diverse group of people. So construction was an easy fit. But then how did I get into drones is another story. So I started working with drones actually when I was in high school. So when I was a senior, I was running the Instagram and social media accounts for my high school. And we would make a video every year for the senior class. And when I was a senior, of course, I wanted like the best video. So I thought, if we had a drone, we could really take this to the next level. And that's exactly what we did. And then I just fell in love with flying drones and being able to see a whole new perspective of something. So I was flying recreationally. And then when I came to Skanska, I saw our building division had this great drone program. They were flying on projects, but we weren't doing it in our civil division. So that's where I saw an opportunity to really introduce drones into the construction world for horizontal construction at Skanska, and that's what we've been doing. So really exciting there. A little bit about Skanska. So we have over 135 years of history. Skanska was started in 1887 by a man named Rudolf Frederick Berg, and his story is really, really interesting. He started basically in his house. You can see a photo on the top of, really back in the day, Skanska, and kind of a comparison to what we're doing today. But a lot of the values and ideas behind the company have remained the same. So Rudolf Frederick Berg, he had these radical ideas, not only about building, but also about people. So he was one of the first people to actually implement, rights for workers. And he had pensions, and he had, insurance, and just things that were unheard of at the time. And he believed that building what's good for people and society is also what's good for business. And so at Skanska, we always say that we're building for a better society. So we've kept those values close to us. So as I hinted at, we have a couple divisions in Skanska. So we have in the US building, we have civil, which is what I'm a part of, and then we have commercial development as well. So those are our three business units. And we're the third largest contractor by revenue per the ENR. And we've built a lot of really high profile projects, some in the area where I work in the New York region, that are just changing the skyline and changing the way that we live and work. So LaGuardia Airport has been a huge project, Penn Station, World Trade Center, the Oculus, and then also something a little different, something like St. Nicholas Church, which is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful structure in New York. So very diverse work that we do. And then a bit about our drone program. So across the US, we're proud to say we have over 60 pilots and 44 drones currently registered with the FAA. So the drone program at Civil really started with this one project, the Portal North Bridge. So this is one of our biggest projects right now. It's over $1.5 billion. It's located in New Jersey, and it has some high-profile clients, New Jersey Transit and Amtrak. It's over 2 miles in length and over 6,000 linear feet of railroad embankment. So for a project in the New York region, this is a very, very large project of large square footage. So you might be thinking, well, why did you pick this project to start the drone program on? If you look at the airspace map, it's right next to 2 major airports. It's 2 major railroads that rely on the project. It's large, it's difficult. So these were definitely some challenges that we were facing early on. But these are all challenges that we were able to overcome. So in order to get approval to fly here, we had an over 50-page safety plan that is very extensive. It goes through our policies, what we would do in any emergency situation, and it's very comprehensive. In order to maintain visual line of sight, we had to have 6 launch locations. So we have to land the drone, move to another location, and fly up again 6 times. We actually use 2 drones every time we fly, and we use 15 plus ground control points, which are basically points on the ground like giant X's that our survey team provides the data for, and just make sure that our drone mapping is extremely accurate. And you can see a picture there of the Portal North Bridge with the skyline of Manhattan in the background, just to show how close we are to the city. So this program so far has been an absolute success. The team has been extremely happy with the deliverables that we've given. And just to give you a snippet of what I deliver every single time that we fly, these are the actual folders that I fill up every single time. So I give the basic photo video package. I'll edit content, so I'll make marketing videos, or I'll make slideshows or time lapses. Then there's the ortho tiles, which is over 1,000 pictures. We fly in a grid pattern, and it flies autonomously. It takes over 1,000 pictures every time. And so those are called our tiles for our ortho map. And they go what ultimately makes up the map, which I'll show you guys in a couple of slides. And then there's a bunch of other files, TIFF files, meshes, contours, our quality report, photos taken in RAW in case anybody wanted to do some serious editing, our survey coordinates, and then ultimately our web-based link where you can view the full ortho and 3D model, which is super, super easy to share, and it's really great for our collaboration. So here is an example of our ortho map, and I'm going to actually go into my browser so I could share the full map with you. So this is what it looks like. So this is what I'll send out to the team. You can see it covers a large area, and all of our ground control points here are listed and tied into the map. And as you zoom in, the resolution is really fantastic because it's made up of over 1,000 smaller photos. And it gets stitched together, and the team can use this for very, very many use cases. But one of the best things here is just being able to have a comprehensive visualization of the project, which, a project of this size, if you're working on the east side and you need to see something on the west side, you got to get in the car, you got to go over a bridge, you got to go through tolls. And sometimes you just need to check something quickly. So this is a big time saver. And you can also go into the 3D, and it takes a moment to render, but once you get in, you can move the map around and you can see everything in great detail. You can take measurements. You can take volumetric calculations for cut and fill analysis. So you can check the swing radius of something. There's been a lot of really great use cases for this. And then you can mark it up and you can share it with someone easily on the team. So this has been an awesome output for us. And some just nice pictures that we've been able to share with our client and with the team, just to show the progress that we're making, and share with the rest of the world what Skanska is doing over in New Jersey. And then this is cool, since we're taking pictures in the same locations over time, we're able to make fun, quick overlays where you can really see the progress of something in a short period of time, just to see how far we've come. So we can do this with all areas of the project. And this is nice because sometimes when you're working somewhere, it's hard to see how much is changing every day. But when you get a bird's eye view like this, it kind of gives you that sense of pride, like, wow, we've really done a lot. And then we can use AutoCAD, softwares that we already rely on to tie everything together, see how it's looking with what's existing, what's to come in the future. And then this is what I really want to focus on now, is this knowledge sharing. So of course, it's great for this team and for other teams that get to use the drone outputs that we're building this program. But if all this knowledge was kept to myself or just within my small team, that's not really helping anybody, right? Our goal here ultimately, as everyone's goal is when we start with these emerging technologies that are really helping our teams, is to scale it. So we've found really effective ways for knowledge sharing to help educate other people in the company that are interested, and really share these solutions and help them gain traction and ultimately grow. So one major thing that we have for the drone network is a national drone network across Skanska. And we even have invited our international partners as well to join a couple of our calls, which has been exciting. So not only do we have a Teams channel where people can write in at any time, ask questions, look for advice, look for resources, but we also have bi-monthly meetings where we get together and we present on different topics, have open forums, and this has been extremely successful. We also gather resources that we crowdsource from across the country and have them in a central location. So for things like safety plans, if I spent all that time writing that 50-page safety plan, why should somebody else, spend all that time to basically write the same thing somewhere else in the company? So always having open access to everything that we develop so that other people can build on it, share feedback, and ultimately use it as well. We've got Part 107 study guides. So to become a licensed drone operator commercially, you have to pass an exam. So of course we have all these people taking it. We want to learn from each other. So we've compiled all study resources to help everybody out. And then also we've just had a lot of best practices, presentations, things like that. We always share in the group and make sure it's accessible for everyone. And then training. So we do have some formal trainings that we give out. So for the drone program, we have an official onboarding that we actually hosted yesterday. So it was just in time for this call so I could share with you guys how it went. And then we also do shadowing. So, if you want to become a drone pilot at Skanska, you basically pass the exam, you come to an onboarding session, but then we don't just ship you out on the job site and say, okay, fly the drone. We make sure everyone feels supported and comfortable until they're ready to fly on their own. So we always have people shadowing more experienced drone pilots on different missions. So here is the training that we hosted yesterday. And it was super exciting. We had 20 people in attendance, which was huge for our program. It was a joint venture with Civil and Building. So we got together to do some knowledge sharing. We had an in-person session. The morning was a presentation, and then in the afternoon, you could see the bottom picture. We actually got out there. We brought 2 drones. We split up the group, and everyone got some hands-on experience, which was awesome. And some of the topics that we covered, we went through our program, the Skanska way of doing things, what standard deliverables are, safety, of course, our policies, a little bit about the exam, a little bit about what to do before you fly, how to actually fly, and then how to process. So we kind of touched on everything that someone would need to know, depending on where they are in their journey to becoming a pilot. And that's it. So just a couple photos here. Whenever we do a flight, we like to take a picture with whoever's, on the team that day helping out. So we've gotten a lot of great pictures over, the last couple months. So just want to thank you guys for having me on today, and really excited to hear more about what everyone else is sharing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cara. Love the presentation. Loved all those background stories. Thanks so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Next, we will have William Cotton from Impetus. So, William earned his degree in construction management from Louisiana State University. His work ethic has revolved around the ethos of actions, not words. He applies that same mentality as a board member for the Paul Mizano Foundation. He was also recognized as 2022 Built World's Leader of Tech Adoption, drawn to Impetus, unparalleled drive exemplified by a value-oriented band of team members. William joined in 2018 as a commercial operations intern. Since then, his ingenuity and unique insight have enabled him to rise to the occasion in new positions and deliver on strategic initiatives. As R&GD leader, he incubates emerging teams, leads technology strategy, and augments the company's capabilities, implementing new technology and supporting the development of in-house construction analytics and prefabrication capabilities. Thanks so much, William, for joining us today, and we would love to hear more about your work and your projects.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Very happy to be here and enjoyed Oliver and Cara's presentations very much. As mentioned, I've taken a bit of a non-traditional path to my current role, which involved starting with this organization as a commercial intern, effectively working with our building construction team. And over the years, that role has transitioned from commercial operations to field operations to pre-construction to some disaster recovery, being down here in South Louisiana, to working with now our innovation group, as well as some emerging teams doing self-performed services, where ultimately we're trying to steer that ship towards prefabricated delivery, some of what Oliver was speaking to earlier. But today I really wanted to highlight what our organization's done with construction analytics, and just being in the network and talking with other firms. This is a piece of information, to Cara's point, that I'm quite passionate about knowledge sharing with other organizations about how we've been able to find success with data and what our vision is relative to its applicability to the industry and how we anticipate moving forward. A little bit about our organization. So a little different here. We're a younger group. We were founded in 2013, and we were founded upon principles of innovation and technology adoption. And effectively, this mindset of the industry is stuck and is looking for the next generation of leaders to help move it forward. Hence the name Impetus arose to the occasion, which is essentially the force that moves things forward. So in the span of the last 10 years, we've grown from 1 to 220 employees and have completed over $1 billion in revenue. We are headquartered here in New Orleans, Louisiana, but opened a satellite office in Nashville, and then are soon breaking ground on another satellite office in Huntsville, Alabama. So our team's growing, and that's, of course, what drew me to the organization as a young graduate of LSU's construction program. It was a neighboring organization that had this startup mentality and felt like a good place to begin the career and ultimately see what direction my path would lead me. Ultimately, what I ended up discovering was that I enjoyed the conventional commercial construction realm, but was very passionate about how emerging technologies and innovations can help steer the industry forward. And so I very much aligned with the core values and ethos of the organization. And that in turn led out of the traditional project path of commercial and pre-construction into a role of innovation leadership. And part of that role was proposing to our organization that we invest in data analytics. At the time, it was just a side passion of mine and something that I was collaborating with some peers in other industries on, but began to see some applicability to how it could really drive more informed decision making at our organization. But to begin with data analytics, especially in a younger commercial construction firm, it took the realization of, in order for this to work, I would need to apply project management principles to innovation. So especially with an organization that has a tendency to be innovative, there's still a need to demonstrate how that innovation might deliver some ROI. And recognizing the culture of our operation, or our organization rather, is heavily operation driven, again, given just the work in commercial construction, it was important that we position this this investment in a similar way that we would position a commercial construction project. And so what you see in front of you is nothing very innovative. It's simply some look ahead schedules made in Microsoft Excel. But fundamentally, what this tool allows is for the broader organization to understand what impact technology is going to have in the organization, over what time, and what the anticipated return on those investments would be. So effectively, what we began with our discovery on was, in a world of so much construction technology, which you see up top, how do we, through that noise, start to detect a signal that we can adopt and implement for our organization? And as we're adopting those new pieces of technology, how can we think about its ability to extract data and help automate or streamline some of our current processes? So the little snapshot below was an opportunity we discovered to take a existing process of manual entry of project data on a monthly basis and automate that to being a daily dashboard that updates every morning and is accessible both online and mobilely with Power BI interface. So that project is something that has in effect automated about 2 hours of administrative time from our project team and informs our leadership group on project health throughout the job's life cycle. So when we're thinking about data analytics and how to deliver this to an operationally oriented firm, we had to consider where can we start to deliver value as soon as possible, rather than being a very R&D heavy investment up front. We thought of it as, how can we take some existing processes and show data engineering and analytics can add value to our equation. And so the quick blurb you see of the Excel sheet to automated dashboard, sort of where we began. That has expanded different divisions as the firm has grown to be able to self-perform infrastructure as what we're doing regionally. The teams have really taken on to being able to see their project performance in a more real-time manner. This screen here is what we collaborated with our safety team leadership on, how to measure and analyze project team safety compliance. So all this is doing is it's looking at data that we're putting into our accounting system as well as our project management system, and pulling that information into one location to say, how are we doing on insurance policies for vendors and subcontractors that might be on site, as well as how are we doing in logging safety observations, putting in daily logs, doing inspections, taking photos. And this is a document that gets broadcast to our field crew on a recurring basis. So they get this once a week. And at the end of the month, there's a little audit period where the safety team meets with the field team leadership to go over their compliance with our safety program. But again, before data analytics was introduced to our organization, this process of pulling data from multiple sources was an effort that took an administrator a couple days each month. So with a tool developed like this, we've been able to allow that individual to shift their focus to more creative and advanced projects and get away from some of the mundane administrative reporting structures. So this one here, again, was one of those more of a screen pass project, is what I've been referring to them as, rather than anything massively advanced relative to predictive modeling or machine learning, but something that we introduced to the organization very quickly as we made this investment in data analytics to effectively validate the use of this service across the board. And so that, of course, has taken even further momentum and traction and inspired field leaders in other divisions, specifically our infrastructure crew, which I know Cara, with a background in civil engineering, can relate to the work that we may have down here in New Orleans with some infrastructure that's in constant need of work given our soil type and proximity to water. But our crews have historically used their heavy equipment fleet as a means of performing the work. And with current tracking mechanisms, we're able to publish a report that helps them not only locate and see the utilization of equipment that we own, but also look at equipment that we're renting and make assessments as to whether or not it would be in the best interest of the organization to make a new equipment purchase. So this sort of analytic dashboard visualization and useful decision-making tools is spread and proliferated across our divisions and teams as they start to see the cross functionality of being able to see information that they're looking for represented in something a little bit more real time. Again, this report was something that would be manually generated, would take several days to gather from the different systems where they would log inspections on equipment. They would track what equipment was being rented. And our effort with our data team was to identify where those pieces of data are being input, ensure that they're being input into a system that we can extract data from, and then organize that data in a way that can be visualized and rolled out to teams for their use. So although we're still early on in the journey, we made our investment in an analytics engineer last year. We're seeing a lot of adoption and great success with these tools being leveraged by the different teams in our firm. And as our organization grows from 10 years to 20 years and beyond, we wholly expect that construction analytics will be a big driver for our competitive edge and the marketplaces in which this path takes us. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, William. Great work, great projects, great research, and new technologies. Thanks for sharing. So we have a couple of questions. I'm gonna actually start with one question. I'm being selfish here, so I'm gonna ask my own question first for all of you, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So in the meantime, dear audience, please feel free to post your questions in the chat box. So you all talked about great technologies, new tools, solutions, software. So I'm curious how you and your team usually learn about these tools. So how do you keep yourself updated with what's out there? And once you find something, what is your process of so your discovery process, and then testing, piloting, adopting? What is the process like in your company, within your team? And what has been the biggest adoption challenge for you with all these great tools that you just showed? So we can start by Oliver and then Cara and William.
Yeah, so I think we are continuously monitoring and scouting for new technologies. So we have teams for that on different levels. So that's quite an effort we put into working with startups, other partners, outside in, driving innovation, being present on conferences and fairs. I just was in Madrid on one to meet people and see what's going on. So that doesn't come just by accident. So you also need to be active and find the right things. And that's at the end the art of it is then to find the right technologies that you can also apply and that add value at the end. So, and there is always resistance to change. Everyone has that. The industry is not the fastest adopters of technologies. That's a bit the tricky part. But I think if you have the courage and the energy to not giving up, I think we can drive a change and create productivity. It works, and we can also quantify, as I've shown, and I think also Cara and William can quantify exactly. Sometimes it's also the intangible benefits that count. But I think, yeah.
Wonderful.
Overall,
thank you, Oliver.
yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Cara.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of what Oliver said. At Skanska, we actually have a national emerging tech group where they do a lot of this work, where they're searching for new solutions and having some initial meetings with vendors. And then a lot of times they engage the field crew and the field staff, which is where I would come in. And also on like LinkedIn, I've seen a lot of really, really interesting, exciting things on just LinkedIn. And then, of course, through our knowledge sharing platforms, maybe a team in Seattle hears about something where it doesn't really fit for them, but they think it might be great for someone in New York. And so we do a lot of sharing of, hey, have you heard of this company? And then once we get to the phase where we're actually going to test it, we're going to pilot the software, the project, or whatever it is. That's where we're really looking to demonstrate the value to our teams. And that's where we like to do we like to do tests where we can verify, of course, and we can get some quantitative analysis on what we're actually saving in terms of getting that product or software. And then I would say some of the biggest challenges are we're looking for products that we can integrate into things that we already are using. So you might find like a really great product or software, but we don't like to overload our teams because saying people can be very resistant to change. And if you're then asking them to download something new, make a new account, new password, that's where we get a lot of resistance. So anything that already integrates into what we're using, we're much more likely to be willing to adopt it and push that along further.
Wonderful, great points. Thanks, Cara. William.
Yeah, so as far as the initial discovery goes, frankly, channels like this and other webinars are a great way to connect as well as hear other firms talking about what tools and solutions that they're implementing. Additionally, I have been reading and involved with a group called Built Worlds that does a lot of tech discovery and puts out reports and surveys relative to emerging trends and technologies in different sectors. So that's been a great resource for us. What we do with that information then is we present it with our digital transformation team, which similar to Skanska's operation is a group of leaders across different teams and markets at Impetus. And we'll look at, all right, what problem would that solution solve for? Because we don't want to just adopt something if there's no existing fit for it. So it really begins with identifying what are your problems, and of course a problem fully understood is half solved. So you have to ask the right questions to then find the right solutions to implement. And where we face the biggest pushback, if any, is just on trying to do too much at once. And I know Cara hit on this as well, where there's so much out there that you could be implementing and introducing to project teams. And so we really look at it as, can we present this in a way that it's solving one of their existing problems? And are we doing so mindfully of any other new change that we're putting on their plate? And so that's sort of where I lean into my background in project management and, am able to empathize with the positions that the teams are in, given I've kind of walked in their shoes over my early years here.
Great, thank you. Yeah, all very valid points. So we have a couple of questions. So first, one question by Hassan. So he's asking Oliver if the supports that, Oliver, you mentioned in your presentation, if they can be used in a hospital project that has a massive pipelines and docks, and if you have any comparative data about the traditional support versus the new ones.
Yeah, so I think, yes, I think the complexity in the project that I showed was comparable to hospital. Maybe the hospital is even a bit more. But I think the value engineering approach, the sound modeling approach, and so on, applies mostly when there is some complexity. Yeah, so I would say yes, that can be applied fully into hospitals where you have a lot of work to be done. Yeah. And then also the automation, the standardization really kicks in. Comparative data, I think, I don't know, I've shown some of the comparative data. So we have really done quite some analysis on showing the value and quantifying the value in reducing not only material but also labor. And last but not least, with all that comes also some sustainability aspects where you can also save CO2 emissions and so on.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Also, another question by Vera. So this is for Cara. So Vera is asking if anybody can become a drone pilot, if there's any requirement.
Yeah, that's a great question. So anybody can be a recreational drone pilot, but if you did want to be a commercial drone pilot, there are a couple things. So you have to be over 14 years old to take the exam, and then over 16 to actually get the license. You have to pay, I think it's about $175 US. And then it's in English, so you have to be proficient in English. There's a couple requirements, but there's really nothing too complex. Like really anybody can do it, and it's a 60 multiple choice exam. It's taken in person, but anybody could do it. So if anyone has any questions about how to apply to take that exam, you can definitely find me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to pass along any resources.
Great, thank you. So Rami is asking if any of you has any experience or any insight on the transition to the prefab constructions. So easy shifts, what are the easy shifts and what aspects are more challenging? So if any of you have any opinion and experience.
So what we're working on now is trying to identify component pieces of building systems that can get standardized and prefabricated versus what we explored and did some research into different modular builds based on our outfit and what opportunities we see with client types that we work with. They prefer a little bit more of a custom and tailored solution. And when you work with modular, sometimes you can be confined with a look or a shape given, I mean, it is a box. So the challenges, of course, of transitioning from production to delivery method is that traditional stakeholders together on site in a shared space and says, all right, we're going to basically exchange all of these handoffs at these certain points and intervals, and it requires a great deal of fabrication and collaboration. You have the level, but you're adding to that complexity, of course, the logistics of transporting from wherever it's being prefabricated to the job site. But the benefits certainly are you're getting a cleaner job site, safer job site. What's being brought out there is finished material, and we are heavily investing in that thought process. Like Oliver hinted at, the material waste goes down, the carbon footprint goes down, and your ability to build greener is effectively improved by this prefabrication capability. But that's what we're seeing as, you know, one of the bigger challenges is, unlike manufacturing, construction isn't just producing one or a couple different materials together to build the product. It's several materials, several specialized trades, you know, can be hundreds of individuals on a job site coming together, collaborating to work on a shared space. And so that's where the easy shift would be on identifying the component pieces, fabricating those. The more challenging pieces, somehow fitting that manufacturing mindset into a somewhat still conventional job site.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, I mean, you need to let's say rather early decide on which way you want to go, and bring then the coordination much more upfront in a digital way. So with all the detailed planning and engineering upfront, I think that goes together. Yeah, the one cannot live with the other, without the other. And that's also the challenge in changing the habits. But you see, certain things are working, and we need to think further into a more manufacturing and fabrication mindset.
Wonderful. Thank you. Cara, do you have any other opinion?
Yeah, no, I mean, William and Oliver just really touched on pretty much everything and brought a lot of great points. I'll say there's been some great uses of prefabrication where we can use more innovative methods. So just one quick example, I was working on a roadway project in the Bronx, and we were doing a bridge over a railroad, and we actually had some innovative use with prefab materials. So we actually prefabricated a lot of the concrete panels on the bridge, and then in between, we actually poured ultra high performance strength concrete, which is a really new innovative material. And it's something we'd almost never really done before. No one really specialized in anything like that. But by using the prefab, we were able to kind of have this whole new design method, and it came out really incredible. And it was a very different type of thing to see. So I guess in some ways it can really help to spawn innovation when you're planning things out so differently.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we have 2 more minutes. If you can each in 2 or 3 sentences tell me what is your wish list for the future of AEC technologies. Maybe if you can start again by Oliver, Cara, and William.
So my wish list, in short, is I mean, we have a couple of challenges globally in construction, especially. There is the sustainability aspects, but also labor shortage, and I think we need to get more innovation into the industry, more automation. I think that can be a solution to overcome labor shortage, because we want to build more, we want to build faster, we want to build better, more sustainable with less people. And I think I think it's the time to bring now also more automation into the industry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with Oliver. I mean, a lot of challenges that are left to be solved. And like what William said earlier, if you fully understand the question, you're halfway there. And I think that applies to a lot of the things that we're looking at right now with these big unsolved questions in the industry. You know, how are we going to tackle sustainability? What's it going to be like with this automation coming in, with AI coming in? And how's that all going to play out with labor? And I'm just excited to see kind of where everything goes, and I'm excited to see construction getting rid of that that perception that it's such an old industry and everyone's so stuck in their ways, because there's a lot of young energy in the industry, and a lot of people are injecting a lot of life into it. So I'm excited to see us catch up and then take the lead on the other industries.
Yeah, I think Oliver's point about labor shortage is very significant. I'll always say that the construction industry will have to learn how to do more with less. So less people, less dollars, less time on schedules, less access to resources with long procurement times. And so my hope for the industry is that collectively, through knowledge sharing and really wanting to push the industry forward together, that we learn to do more with less, and we do it sooner than later.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So yeah, with that, I'd like to thank you all again today for joining us, sharing your experience, your insight. We all learned a lot. Thanks to our audience for being here with us. Jay is asking for the recorded video. Yes, this video will be recorded, and will be available on our YouTube channel. So please join us for our next event next month. Thank you all again, and have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you.
Bye.